Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you a movie review. This time we're going to be talking about 1988's Child's Play. And as a big horror fan, it's probably a surprise to some people that prior to me watching this last night, I've actually never seen any Child's Play movies. I haven't seen any, the Chucky films or anything like that. And why? I easily could have, but overall, I just wasn't really interested in the concept of a doll running around to kill people. But I've heard some good things about it, and I figured, okay, I should probably check it out at some point. And of course, when I seen the first two films for $5 to $6 at the store I usually go to, I figured, why the hell not? So I watched the first one last night, and overall, I did like it. Do I regard it as a classic? Like up there with the Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Streets, or like even the Ginger Snaps films or movies like 30 Days of Night or Stakeland I hold in high regard. Do I put it up there with those? Probably not. I did like it, but a lot of it was just kind of alright to me. I mean, there are a couple parts where it was starting to cross into that above average type of area for me. But overall, it's not one of my favorites, but I am happy I did get the first one because I did enjoy it. I don't dislike it or anything, but I was a bit underwhelmed. But there were things I liked about it. For one, Brad Dourif, he of course plays Charles Lee Ray. Of course, he's also the voice of Chucky. I think he does a really good job in the movie, actually. I've always wanted to see more of Brad Dourif's work. I like him as an actor. I even liked him as Annie's father in the Rob Zombie Halloween films. Thought he was good in that. And I think he really works in, Child's Play as Chucky. And it looks like he does work for him in every movie so far, and he's even doing the voice and the Charles Lee Ray stuff for Chucky 7, which is supposed to be coming out. So I'm happy about that. So because of him, I did really like the opening sequence of seeing how the Charles Lee Ray serial killer, he was on the run. He's kind of known as the Strangler or something like that. And, he's wanted fugitive, and, the opening sequence, he ends up getting chased into a toy store. And, of course, he's also tied with this weird voodoo ritual type stuff. And before he is finally shot and killed, before he completely bleeds out, he does this chant, and he basically transfers his soul into a good guy doll. And these are a line of toys in this film's world that have just come out. It's a big thing for kids. It's a show on TV, and so a lot of kids are going to be wanting them. And so he transfers his soul into that. And that's kind of where the whole thing starts. And a lot of the movie is... Oh, and because of that, of course, he also has a partner named Eddie who sort of abandons him as he's being chased. So he pledges, to get back at him, and then he also pledges, to kill the cop who is after him too. So it kind of sets up different points of the movie later on, of course. And a lot of the movie itself is sort of built around the suspense of, the characters slowly getting more and more creeped out by this doll, all of a sudden being over there when it was just here. Or something as little as the mother in this movie, seeing her kid go to bed, or he's in the bathroom brushing his teeth, and all of a sudden the TV turns back on, the doll's sitting there. Of course, she initially thinks, oh yeah, the kid just really wants to stay up late, so he's trying to pull this weird little thing, but of course it's actually the doll. And so a lot of that is built up for the first act of the movie. It's like the first 45 minutes, I want to say. It's mainly based around that until Chucky actually ends up killing the mother's best friend, who is babysitting her kid, Andy, at the time. Basically hits her with a really little hammer, and she ends up falling out the window. And one of my favorite scenes is actually probably when the mother, her name's Karen, when she starts actually starting to believe in what the son is saying, about him not doing this, how the doll is saying all these things, telling him to do these things, things of that nature. It's even kind of funny when Andy repeated the line about Maggie being like a real bitch who deserved what she got. I thought that was funny hearing him repeat that. And at first I did kind of feel bad for Andy because, he seemed like such an innocent kid, just wanting this doll, from a show he really loves and stuff, and to have it start trying to kill him or basically possess him, I thought was, a little bit sad, but and that's another thing about the movie that it's sort of built around as it goes on later into it. Chucky finds out that he has to basically do that same ritual he did at the beginning when he was still in his original body, and to transfer his soul into the 6-year-old Andy. So that's why he ends up chasing him around towards the end and stuff. And I also liked when Chucky got back at his old partner. And it was really reminiscent how he did it of the whole explosion they had at the toy store and stuff. He basically did the gas thing with the oven, and then it caused an explosion, killing his partner, which is pretty cool. Let's see. As far as the acting goes, like I said, Brad Dourif is good. He's good as the voice. Once you hear that voice, you're always going to recognize it. And he's sort of like, I'll even go as far as to compare him to what Robert Englund did for Freddy, in a sense. Maybe not quite on that level, but in terms of like really adapting his character's personality, his voice, and really making like a signature thing out of it for himself, Brad Dourif really knocked it out of the park, I think. I'll give him that. So Brad Dourif is good, like I said. The kid who played Andy, Alex Vincent was his name. He was okay. I mean, of course, it was an 80s movie, and an 80s horror movie at that, so a lot of the acting is, cheesy or, a little bit underwhelming compared to what a lot of us are used to nowadays. So you kind of got to take it as that. He was a little bit bland, I'll say, but again, we're not supposed to expect a lot out of child actors. I mean, there are some that go above and beyond what we really think they're going to be, but Alex Vincent just did sort of an okay job. He did what he was supposed to, nothing more, nothing less, really. I do think he could have showed a little more expression, because a lot of times when he's trying to explain things to his mom, he would have like the same type of emotion going on in his face and stuff. But again, he was, I'm not sure how old he was in real life at the time of the movie, but, he's only supposed to be 6 years old, so what do you expect? Catherine Hicks, who played Andy's mother. I mean, she did a pretty good job. I swear I've seen her in something before. I'm not sure what, though. Let me see if I can find out real quick if I have seen her in anything else. I don't know. But anyway, she did a pretty good job. She definitely pulled off the concerned mother thing we'd all expect in the movie. No character is like really complex or interesting in this movie besides Chucky himself. And he wasn't complex, but he was at least pretty interesting. Then you had Chris Sarandon, playing the detective, the main cop in the movie. He was okay too. But of course, what really made this movie, or what really made me really like certain parts of this movie, was probably, again, Chucky. As it got more and more out there about what was actually going on with that, the doll was actually running around trying to pull all this shit off. The movie got better, the whole chase, I thought, it actually got pretty intense in certain parts. And once we got to see Chucky more up front, like him confronting the guy about the ritual and what he had to do to transfer his soul and stuff, once we seen more of Chucky himself out in the open, seeing his personality, I thought it was a lot more engrossing. I don't know if that's the right word to describe this, but that got me into it a little bit more. And I know people say that after the first two movies or so, it gets even more about the comedy than it already is in this one. But, I'm not sure if I'm completely opposed to that, because it's definitely the most entertaining part of this movie. And for me, I'm not afraid of a doll or something like that. It's never really scary or intimidating to me or anything. But at the same time, I'm willing to see how, like, a doll that's a couple feet tall or so with the mind and spirit and whatever soul of a serial killer with a knife could potentially be dangerous. I understand that, especially to a mother and her child. So I understand that could still be a threat in a sense. Even to a detective, if he can move as fast as he does and stuff, it sort of makes sense that he could be a threat, but not like the likes of like Jason or Michael Myers or Freddy. It's just a different type of horror character, and you gotta kind of accept that. Of course, I couldn't take it seriously completely, like automatically right away though. But I know there's some people that are, sort of have like a phobia for dolls, or they're really creeped out by them. I'm just not one of those, but I also managed just to roll with what it was too and enjoy it, take it for what it is. Like I said, it'd get more intense as it was going on, as Chucky was chasing Andy around, and the mother and the cop are trying to get to him in time. That stuff is pretty intense. That's probably the best part of the movie, along with any other Chucky scene. Also, Chucky, bit a lot of people in this, and, some blood came out. And, again, he's not really that threatening unless he has, like, a knife in his hand or something, though. And I did think it was a little weird how in, like, the final, like, main fight or climax of the movie, the detective kept on getting taken down so easily. Like, getting stabbed in the leg, obviously, yeah, that's gonna hurt, and that will probably cause tons of problems. But, that basically incapacitated him for part of it, and then he ends up getting knocked out by this bat type of thing. So I kind of thought it was funny how he kept on getting taken out of the equation. And then they end up throwing him in the fireplace, and he gets burned to a crisp, but he still keeps on coming at him. And I did think he looked pretty creepy when you see like all the plastic all black and sort of like slowly coming down around it, the rest of the body. I thought that was pretty creepy too. I will say the ending did seem a little bit dragged out with how he kept on coming back those couple times. I did think that went on for a little bit too long. But it wasn't bad. It just kind of got stretched out a little bit, I think. And of course, they find out the only way to supposedly kill Chucky is to shoot him through the heart, because as the guy explained to Chucky earlier, as he spends more time like this, he's becoming more human. So he grows a heart eventually, and they eventually shoot him through the heart, and that supposedly kills him. But of course, the movie ends with Andy looking back at Chucky before closing the door as the screen fades out. And we know Chucky comes back. There's a way it's going to happen. I haven't seen this. I haven't watched the second one yet, but I plan to soon. And, basically the toy company, they make more dolls again, to sort of like disprove the bad rap it got from this whole incident taking place and stuff. So that soul probably comes, Charles's soul probably comes back into one of those dolls, I think. So, how long have we been talking? 13 minutes now. So overall, the more I talk about it, the more I do think I enjoyed it. Like I said, it's not like one of my favorites of all time yet, but, I do think it earns a place among horror films somewhere, even if it's just because of how enjoyable Brad Dourif is in the role, whether it's a flashback to him actually being the person he was, or just as the voice of Chucky. I can see why it's entertaining. I can see why people enjoy it and like it. Not really scary, but it's definitely not one of the worst horror films I've ever seen. I definitely count it as a good buy, I think. Let me know what you guys think about Child's Play and the whole series, or Chucky in general. I'll probably be watching Child's Play 2 at some point this week, maybe. And when I do, I'll try to get a review out to you guys. The next videos I'll probably be doing, though, are my Walking Dead review tonight, or within the next day or two, because I'm hanging out with my girlfriend today, so it might be a bit later than usual when I get that review out. But I'll be reviewing that at some point. I'm also going to be reviewing the DC collectibles, Dark Knight Returns, Superman, Batman figures. So, you have that to look forward to. So, catch you guys next time. And, hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?